All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome in. It's House Edge Live on Casino Gaming Central. It's John from ProCrafts, and like Ken says, oh crap, it's John again because today's the letter O for the gambling series. All right, for the ABCs of gambling. Now, I made mention of this on Monday. I forgot yesterday, so let's talk about it again today. One of the things I want to do after this series, maybe not right away, because it's going to take some time to put it together, but I would like to do the ABCs of YouTubers, of gambling YouTubers, and ideally, if I can pull this off every day, maybe cover like 4 or 5 or 3 or so channels that start with the letter A, B, C, D, but have one of them on, have somebody on with me that day. So I worry about some things like B is going to be a billion blackjack channels and R is going to be a million roulette channels. And of course, C will be a million crap channels, but all around the alphabet, there's lots of great channels out there that have names that kind of span the alphabet. So, if you know somebody who runs a gambling related channel that you think would be a great guest that could represent their letter really well, let's do it. I also want to revisit part of the show series is, remember way back, we were going to do the United States of Craps. I want to go back to that again. I did one episode of that and never got back to it. And again, it's going to take me some time to find people who live in every state that are craps players and get them on and talk about their state. So that's the thing I wanted to do as well as kind of an entertaining deal here. So people say, what are you going to do for your show? How do you come up with show ideas? This is what I do. I just think of shit like this and off we go. So if you've got YouTube channels you want me to cover, put them in chat, put them in comments, email me, john@procrafts.net. And I'll be happy to start getting the list put together to kind of cover the ABCs of gambling YouTube. And also your state. If you want to represent your state, please write to me and let's have you represent your state. I would love to have state representation from people who aren't necessarily YouTubers. That'd be so fantastic. Also, I'm still doing the dual stream thing. So I've got, again, YouTube should be streaming twice right now, to 2 different channels. I can't tell who's where at all. But I should have a live channel that's the old traditional style and one that's going vertical. So if you're on your phone, YouTube may have forced you on the one where House Edge Live is at the top, I'm in the middle, and the logo's at the bottom. Let me know in chat if that's what you're seeing. And if YouTube did it automatically, or can you get the other one? I just want to know kind of how this works. This vertical streaming option that I've got now, potentially I could stream these things live to like TikTok or something, right? Or the formats that are only vertical. Maybe that's why this is a thing. I don't know. Anyway, I'm giving it a shot. So, yeah, that said, why don't we hop on? Let's hop on. Skill, you're not going to let the unicorn die. Your skill is never going to let the unicorn die. As much as he knows how much I love that thing. All right, let's do it. Let's get into the ABCs a little bit. And before we do, I want to cover my favorite topic, right? Which is why we're doing the shows. And Ken, fist bump to you from Seattle. The casino does suck, right? It's a fun place. They've set up this perfect environment. It's great. It's awesome. We love it there. We have our fun. We love to gamble. But ultimately, they suck because their business model is to destroy you. Plain and simple. With a happy face. With a happy face, hookers and beer, right? They're looking to take every dime you have. That's their business model. They win when you lose, period. It isn't like you're getting a nice... Well, I guess maybe you get fed. Maybe you get a steak dinner. I'm lying about that. They will feed you sometimes while they're spanking your ass. That's what happens. Okay. And if you get good enough to win, Sport Sharp or whatever, you don't get to play. You don't get to be here anymore. That's what they do. That's their business model. So we try, all of us who have some scruples, try and find ways to help you through it. Right. One of the ways that we try and help through is this framework called the Bridge. Okay. This is a brainchild of David at Casino Quest, just putting the words to it, right? Understanding your bankroll, what it can do for you, understanding how you feel about risk, how you see opportunity, either to leave or to lean in. Do you have discipline? Do you set goals? Are your emotions in check, right? There's another acronym, by the way, that a subscriber gave to us a while back. I love acronyms because they make things easy to remember. Military is great at this too. Louis DiGirolamo has one called Focus, right? Follow your plan, observe the table, control your emotions, understand the odds, stay disciplined, right? FOCUS. Those things help us remember like, and stay here where you got to be. If you're not here where you got to be, your money's going to go there where it shouldn't be. And that's just the way that it is. All right. So I concocted this idea to do what we call the ABCs of gambling. Now, the ABCs of gambling was just a fun way of deciding, let's find gambling terms that start with every letter of the alphabet. We'll talk about them. It could be 2, it could be 10 every day. We just don't know, right? Today we're working the letter O, right? And the idea, oh shoot, that was the wrong scene. I'm going to go back here and here. Let's do that. Is that right? No. What is happening? What is happening? Hold on a second. We got the wrong. I knew I was going to screw this up today. There. Is that better? This should be this. Hold on. Hold on. See, it ruins my whole rhythm when it goes wrong. There we go. Oh my God. Hit the wrong button and everything goes to hell in a handbasket. Today's letter O. And O is for optimal play. Okay. And what's tough about like my job, my gambling education, it's knowing the right play and like making the right play are two different things. I think a lot of us know the right play, right? You memorize the basic strategy chart in blackjack. You can recite the house edge in your sleep. You can explain the Kelly criterion at a party, but you can still walk in the casino and light your entire freaking bankroll on fire because optimal play isn't just knowledge, it's execution when the pressure's on, right? It's like sizing bets right when your brain's telling you not to or your heart's telling you not to. It's recognizing when you're overconfident. And I want to cover today a little bit of that, a little bit what real odds look like, and give you a couple of fun definitions there at the end. So that's the plan for today. And our first one's going to be the odds of winning. So one of my favorite topics here is odds because people, I think, get this back and like backwards, right? There's probability, there's odds, there's the chance of winning. There's all these ways to describe sort of the same thing, this weird scenario. They're not the same. And I think a lot of folks use them interchangeably. And I put the formulas up here. It's not a very hard formula, right? To calculate the probability to win something, it's you take the number of winners divided by the number of outcomes, period. And it's sometimes not the number that you think it is, okay? The odds is a ratio, the ways to win versus the ways to lose. Okay, so we take a look at like the probability to win. I'll show you here on the felt in a minute of a 4 versus a 7 in craps. Those two numbers are different, and you're going to see your brain's going to tell you that you're wrong when we do the actual math on it. So let's take a look at it. Let me go down to the table here. And it may take me a second to get this view correct, so pardon me if I'm wrong about this, but let's try and get a table view. If I do that, will it just give you the camera? Look at that. Look at me go. Oh my God, it actually worked. The table view is this. So let's take a look at the 4 or the 10. This is my favorite example because the math is pretty easy on this one. Okay, so we know there are 1, 2, 3 ways to roll a 4. We'll just take the 4. The 10 is the exact same. There's 3 ways to roll a 10, right? These 3 ways are on your dice. I actually have dice here where your left die is a 1 and the right die is a 3. Where your left die is a 3. Oh, I should have been prepared. And the right die is a 1. And the 4th combination is the 2s, right? Here's your 2, 2. That's your 3 ways to roll a 4. There are 2 dice. Each one can land on any number, right? So a 1, 3, a 3, 1, and a 2, 2. That's your 3 ways to roll the 4. Okay. The 7 can roll 6 ways. Okay. And I don't have enough dice to do it, but you've got your 1, 6. You've got your 5, 2. You got your 3, 4. And you've got the reverse of that. You have a 1, 6 and a 6, 1. 5, 2, 2, 5, 3, 4, 4, 3. So you have 6 ways to roll a 7. So that means I'll use red tips for that. I'll put the 7s on the don't pass. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ways to roll that 7. 3 ways to roll that 4. Now your probability is the overall. Okay, and again, the probability to roll a 4 is 3 ways out of a total of 36 ways. There's 36 ways a dice can roll in total. Put the dice back over here. There's 36 ways to roll the dice. Period. I think the people on this view, oh, you guys can see it. There's 36 ways to roll the dice. 3 4s, 6 7s. Probability of rolling a 4 on the next roll. Okay, again, look at the formula we gave. It's the winners, the 3 you're looking for, versus the total number of outcomes, 36. Okay, that's 8%. 8% chance to roll 3 out of 36. However, when you're looking at beating the 7, it changes things because it's not the next roll. It's this or this and a bunch of crap that happens around that. The 11s and the 5s and the 8s and things we don't care about. When you're looking at this probability, the 4 versus the 7, this is what Wayland's Way Craps. He's here, I think, today, right? This is him talking about the secret sauce of craps, or the craps is built around the 4 and the 7. This is kind of the magic of that. Now, what's the probability of the 4 coming before the 7 comes? Okay, there's 3 ways to win. There's 6 ways to lose. There's 9 total combinations here. 9 total. 3 out of 9 is the actual probabilities of this beating that. If you're doing a hop down the 4, it's 3 out of 36. You follow me? 3 out of 36 on the hop, 3 out of 9 when you're looking at the 4 versus the 7. When you calculate the odds of winning a bet or the odds of something that can happen, the probability that this is going to be the case, this is how we state it. The probability or the odds here are 2 to 1. If I go 6 to 3, looks like that when I reduce the fractions, 2 to 1, right? 2 to 1. 6. My God, my brain's losing me here. 6 to 3 is 2 to 1. That's your odds. The chance to win this bet, though, is 3 out of 9, or 1 out of 3. If you reduce the fraction, 1 out of 3, 33% chance to win this bet versus an 8% chance to win the hop bet. So know the difference in how we calculate that. The odds of winning this versus that is 33%. 3 versus 9 total. Here it's 3 versus 36 total. So when you think about the 4 and the 7 in craps, and every game works the same way. If I look at like a street bet in roulette, and I have a roulette table here, but a street bet in roulette where you have 6 ways to win and 38 ways that the dice can, or that the ball can land, it's 6 out of 32 total combinations, right? Or 6 out of 38. When you're looking at this versus that, it's 6 versus 32. So you have to think about when you're calculating your odds, it's not just the total possibilities. And again, roulette is a game that's very much like, I got to get back to the other screen here. How do I get back to the other screen? I want to go to, hold on. I want to get back to this. I think I was here, right? Was I here or was I here? I was here. There we go. In a game like roulette, every bet's a hop bet, right? So you're always looking at on a double street. I can win 6 ways. I can lose 32 ways. So that ratio is 6 to 32, right? And that's how you calculate that out. Know what gets you, know what you're looking for, and know the ways that the total possible outcomes. There's nothing in roulette where we don't care. In craps, there's a lot of rolls you don't care about because you're not on those numbers. Craps is a very different game for a lot of reasons, and that's one of them. All right. So again, you look at the relevant outcomes, and that's where you get the 1/3 chance to win. Okay. The odds question again is how do my wins compare to my losses? And that's the ratio you see on screen there, the winners to losers, right? So again, in this example, 3 ways to win, 6 ways to lose. The ratio is 3 to 6 or 1 to 2. And we say it, the odds are 2 to 1 against. So you reverse the way you say that. So it's the same math, right? There's still 6 ways to lose, 3 ways to win. The odds are 3 to 6 against you. Reduce it down, 1 to 2 against you. Reverse it when you say it, 2 to 1 against me. That's how you say that. Okay. So remember, all of it matters though, right? And I know I get pedantic sometimes about some of this nitpicky shit, but it matters because the odds tell you what the fair payout should be. In this example with the 4 and the 7, because you're a 2 to 1 dog, right? You should get paid 2 to 1. That way, over time, you break even, right? But if over time we break even, the casino would never be able to stay open. They would lose money, right? Or they would tie. So they have to get you a little bit. So instead of paying 2 to 1, it pays like 1.9 to 1 or whatever the ratio they have is for that. That's your house edge. That's how it works. All right. So when somebody says the odds are 5 to 1, what they're saying is for every 1 time it happens, it doesn't happen 5 times. That's different than probability of saying 1 out of 6. Difference. Y'all follow that? It's tough, but it's the way that it works. 1 out of 5 is different than 1 out of 6, but it's the same set of outcomes. 1 way to win, 5 ways to lose versus the 5 to, right? Okay. I don't I want to get circular with it, but it's hard to get your brain wrapped around the difference between those two things. All right. Probability is your chance of winning. Odds are what you should get paid when the chance for taking that chance. That's the way to kind of memorize that. If you confuse them, and sometimes even I explain them, I get confused with trying to make it work right. It can break your brain, but you got to know that going in. All right. The next kind of thing I want to talk about then is sports betting odds. Okay. Now again, I'm not a sports bettor, but by the way, I want to call something out. I told you the other day, guys gave me shit in chat for it, but I was right. The first line on the Hawks Patriots game was, I think, 2.5 or 3. I forget what it was. The night they won the game, right? The night the games were over, the first odds came out there. I think they were 2.5. I think the Hawks were 2.5 favorite. Now they're 4.5. I told you it was going to move. That line was going to move for some reason. It's where the money goes. We'll talk about that in a minute. But when the line moves, there's a middle opportunity in there. And again, to me, it's not about, of course, I'm a homer about the Hawks, right? But it's not about who you think is going to win. It's about finding the middle of that, right? You find that middle zone. When this line moves again, and it will move again to 5.5, maybe 6, because again, it's where the money goes, right? When it moves again, there's going to be a big middle for the guys that bought at 2.5 on the first night. So that's what I was talking about that day, and it's happening right in front. You can watch it happen right now. As reports come in, as blah, blah, blah happens, and the money moves around, the odds move. So look for that middle. Anyway, one thing we want to unlearn about sports betting, and I'm trying to learn sports betting, by the way, is that the line is not the sports book's prediction of what's going to happen. And I, as I teach this, right, I myself didn't realize that, right? But really, it's their prediction of where the money's going to be, because their goal isn't to be right about the game. They want to be right about the score about the game, but they don't care who wins or loses, right? Their goal is to have equal money on both sides of it, so that they collect the vig no matter who wins. They're not really gambling in this case. The casino's not gambling against you. They're brokering bets, right? And they're looking at a lot of people betting one side and the other side, kind of like the pass line, don't pass line and craps, but that's never an even number of people, right? We can decode it a little bit. Well, let's take this game, right? The Seattle New England game. And this is the wrong line. The current, I'll look the current line up here in a minute, right? The current line is way different than this, but pretend it was this. It was minus 110 for one team, plus 110 for the other team. Okay. The minus sign means you're the favorite. You're risking that amount to win $100. At 110, you bet 111 to win 100, right? Or 110 to win 100. The plus sign, you're the dog. That means what you're going to win for $100. So at plus 110, you're betting 100 to win 110. Okay. Now here's the juice, right? If it was a fair bet, 50-50, both sides would be plus 100, right? If it was a perfectly evenly matched game, nobody would win, right? But the book posts minus 110, plus 110 on both sides of that thing, right? Either way, $110 is changing hands, right? So if $1,100 comes in on one team, $1,100 comes in on the other team, the book collects $2,200, right? Somebody is going to get paid, right? They're going to pay out $2,100 to the winners. That's how this works, right? They're going to collect $2,200. They're going to pay out $2,100. They're going to keep $100. That's the vig. That's how they make their money. They don't give two shits who wins that game. As long as there's money on both sides in relatively equal amounts, and the line is close to being right without a huge middle, they're going to make money no matter what happens. They're playing the arbitrage game. That's what the casino does, right? And it can get useful for you as you look through it, right? Like you convert any line to what we call the implied probability. Like what does the market think is going to happen, right? And the favorites, for favorites, it's the risk divided by the risk. It's these formulas, right? It's about 52% in a 110-110 game. For the underdogs, it's about 40%. Okay, when you add up both, you'll end up with more than 100%, and that's because that's where the house takes their money. And the lines can move. Okay, the line you see today will not be the line we see at kickoff. Guarantee it. It's going to change, right? It's because the money comes in heavy on one side. The book moves the line to attract action on the other side, right? Again, it's not about who they think is going to win the game. It's about making sure they have equal money on both sides of the line, no matter where the line is. So when the line moves here, They want equal money on those bets and more on the bets they were upside down on earlier. That's the way that this works. Okay. Professional sports bettors, they analyze this stuff. They get their bets in early before the moves happen against them, right? Late money is who? It's me. Late money is the public. Late money is people going, oh shit, I saw on SportsCenter that so-and-so's got a bad elbow and his ass hurts or whatever, right? And here comes the money. The sports bettors are done with that, right? If you all move the line and give them a middle, they're going to hop the middle, right? That's why sports betting is a full-time gig. And Ken is in the chat saying, first of all, don't bet on big games, right? It's tough. Second of all, right, the public moves the line. Look for the middle, and you got to be 24/7 on this. Computers are running all the time to figure out where the middles are and how you can arbitrage your way through to a guaranteed profit. That's the way sports bettors. I'm telling you, one of my heroes. We talk about the guy all the time. John Patrick is still 95 years old, just turned 95. He's still sports betting. He's in a nursing home somewhere, right? Getting hand fed, arbitraging the shit out of these games. That's what he does. I'm doing it for years, right? But he studies it. And the guys that have the computers, they study this stuff. So if you want to get into sports betting, you got to get hooked. You got to get data. You got to study the lines. It's all about the lines and where the money flows. So anyway, I'm like poker, not my game of choice, not my gamble of choice. However, these are important things to know, and that's why I covered in the series. So if you want more on this, clearly, go get more on this. All right. Now let's talk about optimal strategies. Okay. For most games, I'll say this, for most casino games, the optimal strategy has been solved for you. Somebody has done the work. Blackjack has basic strategy card right here. Here's the card. Here's the card. Again, I got them, right? As much as I play, I still look at the card. I still study the card, make sure I'm not fucking something up. But this is what you do, right? This card tells you what to do, right? You can memorize that quickly. It gives you the correct play for every combination of hands that's possible. Okay. It's not a suggestion. It's not one way to do it. It's the way. That's it. It's just the way that you do it. It's been computer solved over billions of rolls. Okay. And the reason why we say it's not optional. This is why I think optimal play is important, because when you have a decision to make, if you make the right decision, you know you're edging closer to even on that kind of game. You're closer to 50-50 split, right? Where there's no edge for the house. If you make incorrect decisions, you move away from more likely to lose, or more likely to lose than win. You're more likely to make a bad call, right? That's why, like, no bust blackjack, although I do play it, I have played it, I've tested it out. It's interesting. It's it's much more streaky, no bust, than regular basic strategy. However, the house edge moves to 5%. It is what it is, because you're making quote unquote wrong decisions, right? Video poker also solved. Go buy the book. There's a book on video poker. Go buy the book. It'll take you from 87% win or a 13% hold to a 0.5% hold if you just make the right moves on every spread of cards. And it's memory. Look at the book, memorize it. You have the book with you at the table or at the machine. You can bring your book and go 3, 7, 8 okay, here's my hold. It's solved. It's solved. To get that game to be close to 50-50 or close to a 1-to-1, right? You memorize the thing. Don't go to that game and go, well, at home when I'm playing against my grandpa, I always hold for the inside straight because I get it all the time. You don't do that at video poker. Not the right move to make. Follow me? Learn it, study it. It's optimal. Baccarat, same thing, right? It's flipping a coin. Baccarat is flipping a coin. Okay. And here's what you got to know. Baccarat is flipping a coin. And in a coin flip, there's no tie. Okay. You can't get on the edge except for a freaking miracle. That game's the same way. You're playing that game for a run. Banker all the time, player all the time, follow the shoe, go opposite the shoe. That's it. That's the 4 things you can do in blackjack. Anybody else who's charting shit and making things out, they're going against it. The optimal way to play is one of those 4 ways. Always bank, always player, always oppo, always on the shoe. Done. That's the whole game. Catch your run and get the fuck out of there. That's Baccarat, right? When we try and outsmart the games where there's clear decisions to be made, we lose. Now, Craps is a different story. The book will tell you optimal bets are known. Pass line with max odds, maybe some come bets, that's it. Okay? But craps is a different game. It's a game of opportunity, unlike any other game. Optimal doesn't always mean profitable, by the way. It just means losing less often, right? In craps, you have this weird way with the way the puck works that you can win way more often than you lose, even when you're within probability. Okay. You can get 5 wins in a row before a 7. You can't get that in other games, right? It's just a different animal. Optimal in craps does get you closer to the mean, like the other games do. If you want to stick to that way, you're fine. However, optimal in craps means taking advantage of the streaks in different ways. Roulette's got a similar vibe to it. Okay. It has optimal ways to play. It's certainly not the red and black, which is worse for you than craps, right? But there are ways to use profits to create opportunity in a game where you can stack wins on multiple areas that pay greater than 1-to-1. When the bets pay greater than 1-to-1, you have opportunity in there to build in different ways. All right. Now, the probabilities will catch us all in the end. Okay, we know that. Right? You have, again, your emotional state has to be aware of. I know that the probability will catch me in the end. Variance is also going to work against me sometimes. Okay. But the short-term hits of greater than 1-to-1 bets can be optimized to create massive opportunity. I think it's easy, right? I say it's easy. Learning optimal strategy is easy. You can learn baccarat and blackjack and video poker in a weekend, right? The hard part of it is doing it when you're there and you're tired and you're drunk and you're winning or you're losing and your brain goes out the window, right? The guy next to you is snickering at what you're doing. That's when it goes to shit, okay? But learn the optimal ways to play. It's not like like I said, it's not rocket science, but learn it. All right, here we go. Next up, we're going to look at what's next. We have optimal bet sizing, which I think is kind of fun. This is a good couple of topics here. So you've picked the right game, okay? You know the strategy. You got your bankroll, right? And now how much do we bet? That's always the question, right? And a lot of players just bet what feels right. Like, oh God, I'm losing. I'm going to, what, right? They're comfortable, right? When they're cautious, they're bigger when they're confident. It's all backwards, right? Bet sizing should be calculated, not based on what your heart says, right? If you're in a situation where Kelly can apply, you have an advantage. You have math on that. You have an edge, right? If you have an edge, and it's a big if for most of us, right? Kelly gives you the percentage. Go watch the K episode, how we do Kelly criterion. It lets you bet a part of your bankroll based on your edge, right? So if you have a 2% edge, a 1% edge, a 5% edge on a given bet, God forbid you have a 40% edge like you can sometimes or 20% edge in crap sometimes when you're on the don't. Portion of your bankroll goes to that. That's Kelly, right? But it assumes you know your edge and you've calculated it right? If you overestimate that, you overbet, right? That's why serious players will use fractional Kelly, like half or quarter, building in some uncertainty margin. Now, for recreational players, we're playing the negative expectation games. Most of us are playing craps and roulette and Bach and these other and video poker, whatever, that are negative EV games. Most of us play that way. Here, bet sizing on a J curve might matter more. When you're down, you're betting less as you're losing, and as you come back and win, you start hammering the win as you come up. It means your losses hurt less early than late. It means you recover your money on a plan. You profit on a plan. The J curve is a very powerful way to play. Okay. You can press when you're winning, right? You can be same bet, and then go to something structured. And again, structure gives you balance, right? A 1-3-2-4 when you're winning. A simple up and pull, up a unit, pull whatever, up a unit, pull more, up a unit, pull more, right? That's these little tiny percentage increases or planned marches are different than pressing emotionally. Like I got my 6 up to, oh my God, my 6 at 120. Well, shit, I'm not going to collect that. I'm going to take that 240 and we're going to 300, baby. Like when you start getting emotional about what could happen, yeah, you could hit the lightning in a bottle and make a ton of money. But if you're marching your approach, you're more likely to see a steady up and down versus this jaggedness. The jaggedness kills your psyche, right? Again, we don't want to hope that things happen. We want to know things, how they're going to work out, right? So I think your bet sizing Should be a decision that you make before the session. And it works on the negative side too, right? If you want to be a ladder person, your bet sizing is predetermined. There's no thinking. If you're going to go ladder system, you know it's 25, it's 50, it's 75, it's 100, it's 75, it's 100, it's 75, it's 100, 125, 150, 125, 100. Let me check my bank account. I'm probably back to even by now, right? It's a forced march. Bet sizing is baked into the system. You can't screw it up unless you get scared. Unless you get scared. That's I told you about yesterday in negative progressions, right? People get scared when they play ladders. You can't play a ladder and be scared. All right. Next up we have what? We're going to do odds laddering. Now, this is an interesting one. I've done this with you before, okay? Nobody really talks about this, though. And I think it's an interesting way to play craps. I'm not sure if it's the smartest way, but it's a very interesting way. So here's the setup, right? We know in craps, the pass line has that 1.4% house edge. It's great, right? But the odds pay true. The odds they're actually being paid according to probability, like we talked about earlier. They are giving you the actual what you should get paid, right? It's an interesting scenario for us because if we look at some different ways to use the odds, right? I think the odds can be used as recovery and as a hammer. So if you're going to increase your exposure during a session, make bigger bets, right? Because you're winning, you want more action, whatever it is, right? Where should the increase in those bets come from? Put it in chat. Where should the increase in your bets come from, right? If you're a negative progression person, it comes from your bankroll. If you're a positive progression person, right, it comes from your wins, right? Most players, and I do this too, by the way. If I'm playing a 1, 3, 2, 4 flat line, I'll bet the line flat, okay? Most players raise the pass line bet or the don't pass bet, either way, right? Potentially that's wrong. You're increasing your exposure, okay? Granted with wins on a parlay, but you're increasing exposure on the part of the bet that the house takes the tax on, which is the flat bet. If you odds ladder instead, take the win and hang on to it, right? That becomes 1x odds. If I have a $25 pass line bet and I catch a come out 7, when the point gets set, that $25 becomes my odds. It's double free odds. It's free odds in the sense that there's no vig on it. It's double free because it's my win that goes on that thing, right? If I win again, if I win the flat and the odds bet, the person hits the point. Now I've got a unit down from my flat bet, and I've got a couple, maybe a unit or a partial, one and a partial unit from my odds bet. Guess what? The next time out, it's the same little tiny flat bet, and I can go 2x odds with all the wins. All the wins are stacking it up. By the time you get to a third win, you've got profit in the rack. All your odds are 3, 4, 5, or 6 times bigger than the first bet was, all on profits. Pressing with wins on the odds side of it, right? People don't talk about that. The extra money that you're betting, just like on a pass line press, is going to the house, obviously, if you lose, but it's all going on a zero house edge bet, which is very interesting. You finally get paid right. It's awesome. You can use them as loss recovery too. I was thinking about this the other day. Instead of martingaling the base bet or laddering the base bet, keep the base bet small and flat, right? If I lose, my odds go higher. If I lose again, my odds go higher. If I lose again, my odds go higher. When you get the win, you're getting paid extra, not the flat bet increase. The odds pay more. So your recovery path is a little bit faster. So increase the odds on loss. Now, yes, it comes from your bankroll. So in that case, the negative ladder, you need bankroll for it. But you can recover quicker as you grow the odds on the losses. Interesting way of, and again, you have your flat line, your flat bet come out winners also. So it's a way to kind of increase your exposure, your variance, without increasing the rate at which the house takes the money. Okay. You need money to do this, obviously. You need a table that has 10x or higher odds. So you have room for your ladders, positive or negative, and you need the bankroll, again, to support the higher bets. So finally, of course, discipline, right? If you don't have discipline, you can't do it. You get scared, you're going to revert back to your emotional state. You're not going to work, right? But if you want to be at the table anyway, odds laddering, I think, is a cool way to kind of catch it. It's a cool way to catch a run with mathematically sound bets, and it's being aggressive on the punch with it. So anyway, I might do that on Friday. I might actually show this one on Friday during Friday Follies. I've done it with you before. I never gave it like a name or anything. I just did it. We'll take a look at it here on this felt on Friday. How about that? And again, I think the house edge lives on that pass line bet, not the odds, right? So if you're going to press the free part, not the taxed part. And I think odds ladder is a way that we can use some good money. Yes, you know what's funny? Overconfident was actually part of the original O's. I had overconfident here, but I took it off. I took overconfidence out only because we've talked about it ad nauseum. But I will circle back, and I want to cover it here in this last little bit. So let's actually move into the last bit, which is this other things. And let's just give some quick definitions, and I will cover overconfidence because I think it's important that we do. All right. Before closing the letter O, let's rapid fire a couple of just definitions. I think some days these topics don't deserve an entire 5 minutes, but they're interesting things you should know if you're coming through gambling for the first time. Okay, OTB, off-track betting. This is placing horse race wagers away from the track. Parimutuel, meaning you're betting against other bettors, not against the house. Okay, so you see guys in the casinos watching, they can turn little TV channels, they can watch the Santa Anas or the Delaware tracks or whatever, that they're betting horses everywhere, right? The track takes a spiff off the top, right? What's left gets split amongst the winners. When you take away the horses and just play the numbers, almost like a lottery, it's pure odds calculation, okay? Which horses are public is overvaluing, right? And which are undervalued. That's all that it is. It's just it's just no different than sports betting, just an odds play, right? Find the holes in that and bet the lottery ticket, bet the numbers, not the horses. Okay. There's an edge there if you're willing to put in the homework on that. Okay. The next one, one-eyed jacks and suicide kings are wild, right? One-eyed jacks, jack spades, jack of hearts. When you draw them on a deck of cards, they've got the sword in their head. They're both right. Suicide or I'm sorry, that's the kings. The jacks have they're looking sideways, just one eyes. They're always wild cards at home poker games, right? When somebody calls them, now you know what that is. What are you talking about? It's the one-eyed jacks. And I should have had cards here in front of me, but yeah, their jacks are kind of faced sideways, so you just see one of their eyes. Outside bets in roulette, they're the bets on the outside, right? Not the numbers. That's like the dozens, the high-low, the odd, even, the red, right? They pay out lower, but the odds are a little better than the inside, right? If you're going to play roulette, the math hurts you least out there, and they're also easy to play, right? If you're just dipping your toe into the roulette waters, you don't want to lean in and touch people, stick on the outside, and that's there. And obviously, the opposite of that is the inside bets, which is the numbers. Outs, it's a poker term, the number of cards left in the deck that complete your hand. You got 4 to a flush, 9 outs, okay? Open-ended straight draw, 8 outs. Counting outs is how you calculate the pot odds and decide whether a draw is worth it. Or a draw is worth chasing. It's math, really not hope. So, overlay, the odds being offered are better than true probability. They're the holy grail, right? If you can find it, right? If a bet has a 40% chance of winning, but pays like it's 30, it's an overlay. That's rare. It's a mistake. Software finds this. This is why you need like an unabated like team behind you who has software that finds this kind of stuff. So those are the 5 definitions I wanted to cover. We should talk about overconfidence a little bit. I don't know where this term came from. I always word overconfidence as though you're selling wolf tickets. I don't know where that came from. A buddy of mine used to say it, and I kind of caught on. But when you're selling wolf tickets, to me, that means you are cocky and you think you know what's about to happen, or you're on such a great run you can't lose, right? You make horrible decisions in that world, right? I think a lot of dice setters can be overconfident with their skill, right? I can do this, therefore I will bet that, right? Overconfidence has ruined more people, right, than the game itself, because you make poor decisions when you're overconfident. So that's a thing. I think maybe it is worth a whole show, but to me, it felt like we've talked about that so often, like making good decisions. If you just stick to the rules, make the right call in the games that allow you to make the right call, right? Make the right call even in craps where you can make every call. But when it's time, when you're in profit or when you're down, making the right move with your money is where that is, right? That's not overconfidence. That's just understanding the game. All right, guys. I think that's what we have here for the letter O. I hope that was good. Takeaway, I think, is this: like the distance between knowing optimal and playing optimal is where the bankroll goes to die, right? You can memorize every strategy and still bet like an amateur if your bet sizing is wrong, right? You can understand all the math and still give it all back chasing one more hand, right? You can have genuine knowledge and still sabotage yourself with overconfidence, right? Optimal play is not just what you know, it's what you execute. It's what you do. Whether you're under pressure, when your emotions are begging you to deviate away, optimal play and discipline work together. I know the right move. I'm willing to make the right move, right? Play things that are solved, not felt. Size your bets with math, not with your gut. If you're a craps player, let's look at odds laddering a little bit, right? Press the free part, not the tax part. And that makes perfect sense to me, right? And check your confidence against actual results. When you hear yourself saying one more hand, that's the sound of discipline failing, right? Optimal play is a practice, not a destination. I think you get better over time. And once you do that, the gap closes a little bit. All right. So let me come back to here and we'll just chat for a little bit. I might look at some Q&As. I think we might have some questions. Yeah, let me go, I think here. Is that how we do it? That's how we do it. If you have questions, by the way, always put a Q in front of them. That way I can see them. In the end, what I do is I kind of do a filter of all the chats, and I just look. Oh, wait, I need my keyboard. I just look for the letter Q. If I see a letter Q in the chat, my filter finds it, and I can answer the question very easily. All right. Skill has one question, which he reminded me. You would crack me up, buddy. It's so funny. How hard is it to correctly calculate the amount for the lay bets on the ATS? Ooh, that's a different one, because think about a lay bet in it's the same thing. It's no different than the don't pass odds, if you think about it, right? If you have the ATS and you're only needing one number, let's say it's the 11, okay? So you stand to win X, and put the money aside, right? What can beat you? The 7. There's always 6 ways to lose the ATS. There's always X number of ways to win. In this case, you have 2 ways to win on the 11, right? The 6-5 and the 5-6, the dice reversing, right? So it's 2 out of 6, right? 1 out of 3. The odds are 25%. You have a 25% chance for the 11 to come ahead of a 7. That's the way that works, okay? But you're 4-to-1 dog or 3-to-1 dog on that. That's the math on that, right? So the bet sizing should be proportional with those odds and what you've got out there, what you stand to win. And again, what you stand to win, let's just say it's a 150 table and you have $10 on it, right? It's 150 and it's 30-30, right? You have 10-10-10. So the 150 pays 1,500, right? 10 times 150. The two 30s pay 300 each. That's 1,500, 300, and 300. $2,100, right? If you need one number and you can lay it, let's say it's a 9 or something like that. You're going to give up some of your win to lock in a profit. Maybe you bet the 9 for, I don't know, $600. You lay the 9 for 600 to win 400. You're locking up 400, but you're giving away 600, so you're locking in 400 or 1,500. There's formula in there for this. We might want to talk to Matt about running different scenarios and find out what the optimal size of that is. But in that case, you have a hammer. And what Skill is saying is, you know you can win on both sides. You have a probability advantage, a guaranteed win locked up. How much of your bankroll should go on either side of that bet? That's the question. I can't calculate it here like this, but it's something we should definitely look at. I think it's a great question, Skill. I don't know when. I was talking to David yesterday. I may scoot to Vegas in the next couple of weeks. We have an app release coming on Monday, one again the following Monday, and then we're going to pivot the app development into more of a social network type of thing. And when I do that, I got to be in person. We got to really kind of whiteboard the whole thing out. So probably in 3 weeks or so, maybe 4 weeks. I don't know. Sometime in January, February, I'll be there. I'm not sure when, but I'll definitely get out there. Let's see who else is out here. I'm looking through other chats here. Gary, yeah, I'm having fun with the series too. I'm enjoying my time doing this. And like I said when I first started, I don't know everything, right? I'm not a sports bettor. I'm not a poker player, right? I don't play other games like Texas Hold'em or UTH. I don't play these games, right? But teaching them, I have to study them. So I'm learning a little bit more about it. And I think that I'm a good enough teacher that I can present it so that even though I don't know it, I'm giving you good information. Now, having fun getting into different things besides craps 24/7. So I'm glad that you're liking it. I'm having a good time. Waylon adds an O, outlet. Outlet in every game. And G, I did GTFO. Know when to GTFO, right? Have a goal, get out, have a way to bug out. Tom Marco, there are two running because I have one that's optimized for portrait, vertical, one optimized for landscape, your phone sideways. They're both going live at the same time. So YouTube recommends that if we have the capability to do it, we go live, we go on two streams so that when you're looking at your phone, you can kind of get the right view. So that's why there's two out there. And again, it's kind of weird, but we'll give it a couple of weeks and see how it works. I will tell you this, yesterday, I got triple the views on the first time I did it, because both videos together tripled the amount of people who watched the videos than I normally get on a video, which is very interesting. It may have been all of you going, what the hell's going on, and watching them both. You may have been the reason because you're watching both of them, but in YouTube's eyes, we had a big content boost yesterday. So that was kind of cool. Waylon's Way Crap says, play possum until the hot streak comes, right? That is the J curve. That is bet a little bit higher, regress down, right? If you're losing, you lower your bets, lay in wait, play possum, and then bang when it goes back up again. Great way to talk about that. Ken agrees, stay outside in roulette. The outside bets are where it's at. They're easier. The progressions are easier. It's much more natural out there. So anyway, I think that's all that I've got. Skill had asked me before for an example of what the 7 bringing the elephant graveyard. I can do that. Yeah. How do I do that? Maybe not. Maybe we'll do a different day. It's too late now. I got my 8:15 meeting, but we'll cover that. Do the same odds calculation with the whole thing, with the 24 ways to win, the 7 ways to lose, where it's reversed. Cool. All right, I am out. You're not getting any. Oh, you know why, Vegas? Because you're probably subscribed to me on Casino Gaming TV. This is Casino Gaming Central. It's my other channel. So I moved all the content from that old channel to this one. This used to be called Pro Craps, and I've renamed the channel, and I'm focusing on all the games, not just craps, and that's probably why. So, all right, guys, I am out. Ken is, by the way, you heard it first, New England plus 6.5. When it gets to 6.5, right, that middle's big. If you got in at 2.5 earlier, now you're at 6.5. If it goes 6.5, going to be interesting. Yeah, weather's going to play a part, of course. Yeah. Anyway, all right, I'm out of here. I got to go to work. You guys have a great day. I'll give you my final inspiration here to end the day, and we'll close it out. Let's go here. The inspiration station is this. I love this mob mentality quote. This came from Richard Sermon, I think. It's a way to kind of frame the way that you attack life, attack the casino, attack your job. Mob mentality, mission over bullshit. Do not be distracted by what's happening around you. Stay on target. To quote Star Wars, stay on target, stay on target. You'll have a great hump day. I'll see you tomorrow. I love y'all. Goodbye.